Story 1. Crash my rental condo before you leave? See you in court. Here's what happened. I leased my rental condo to a single mother with 3 kids in 2016. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath. I had a grace period of 3 days for rent in there, but they were always late. I would not charge them late fees, thinking she's a single mother, and would follow up consistently to get my rent. Most of the time, I would receive it 2 to 3 weeks late, and sometimes 2 months late. In my mind, as long as they are paying and I can help by giving them some time, all is good. Suddenly, I found that in 2020, her husband lived there too. He travels for work but lives there. And the money that she had been sending me through Zelle has always been coming out of his account since day one. I let it go and was still civil. And then he started communicating with me at every delay. Sometimes he would go silent for 4 to 5 weeks, and I wouldn't be able to reach any of them. I would threaten eviction, and they'd come back and pay me. In hindsight, I should have evicted them. But COVID happened, and I didn't want to throw them out. Finally, at the end of 2022, they informed me that by March of 2023, they would be out. They just bought a house, and they were very appreciative of me being kind and helping them along the way. They were supposed to leave by March the 6th of 2023, and I told them that if they cleaned the house and left it in good condition, they wouldn't have to worry about rent for March. March 6th comes, and they tell me they're still moving and cleaning. I let it go as I had no potential renter yet, and I was just glad that they were cleaning it up. I still didn't have the key to the condo. I would communicate with them during March, saying potential renters want to see the place, and they would tell me to send them over. Potential renters would go there and knock, but no one would open the door. I would try to reach out, and they would not respond to me. This happened twice, and they would call me later and say that the potential renters never showed up, and they lied to me. I was getting antsy, and on March 20th, I called and texted both the husband and the wife for a few days straight, asking them to give me the keys. Nothing. No response. On March the 24th, my friend and I decided to head over there to see what was going on. We live an hour away. I called both of them, and no response. I decided to look them up on the county land records. I knew the county they were building a house in and was able to find their new address. My friend and I decided to go to their house and get the key. We reach there and knock on the door. The son opens and yells for his mom. His mom comes down and pretends to cry, saying, "We lost the key." In my mind, then why the heck couldn't they tell me? And why the heck would you ignore my countless texts and phone calls? At this point, I'm still being civil, and I said, "That's fine. I will get the locksmith and charge them the fees." We went to the condo next, and to our surprise, the condo was open. They never bothered to lock it. As soon as my friend and I entered, these 3 words came out of our mouths. Oh my gosh. There was this horrible smell. All the walls had patches over them from a bad paint job. The fridge had food rotting in there. Carpets stunk like they had never been cleaned. In one room on the carpet, there was a big paint stain, and the door was even busted. It was the worst feeling because I was so nice to them, and they left my condo unlocked for days, destroyed my place, and didn't even have the decency to clean my place or take my calls. I was furious that my kindness over the years was repaid by this. Finally, not knowing the extent of the damage, I reached out to them, saying I would keep the $1,000 deposit and asked them to pay $1,800 more for the cleanup job. They declined on text. I told them I'll sue them. They ended up getting aggressive and told me they knew the law too, and I was not going to get a single penny out of them. Then I worked with a lawyer in the first week, still not knowing the full extent of the damage, but just some. I sent a demand letter for $3,000. Nothing. Then I worked with a contractor, and just for the painting it cost me around $7,000, as there were around 1,000 patches that they had to sand off. I'm not even exaggerating. I got multiple quotes. The cleaning crew went in at 4 a.m. in the morning and ended at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Everything that you can think of that was dirty was dirty. The oven and fridge had not been cleaned for years. There was heavy clogging in both bathrooms' drains. The toilet was worse than a public toilet. They charged me $600 to clean the house. It ended up costing me $7,600. I continued with the lawyer and ended up filing a claim for $11,000, though people told me that I was wasting money and they would never pay. For me, I couldn't let them get away with it. I ended up charging them for late fees for not paying the month of March that I had agreed to waive off if they cleaned the house. I had in my contract $50 per day for any delay. By the time I had filed, it was easily a few $1,000s. I asked a few Redditors from my throwaway account, and they told me about late fee regulations. But my lawyer told me that they did sign a contract, and in this state, we can sue them for $50 per day until the day we file. Then the saga begins. It was my responsibility to serve them and let them know the mediation. Then it was my responsibility to serve them for the court date. They actively avoided being served twice. It had cost me $400 just to serve them twice. They still didn't show up for mediation or the court date, and judgment was filed in my favor as they didn't show up. Finally, an arrest warrant was out for both of them. I was asked to serve them again. I begged the clerk, saying I could not spend more money to serve them. She got a document signed by the judge for an alternative method of serving that included text and email. I texted and emailed them their arrest warrants and the next court date. They finally showed up, and the judge made them give me all their information. They were in court, but I could appear on Zoom. I was able to ask them all their information, including their Social Security number, driver's license number, bank account statement, salary, and work address. I have to say I felt a bit sorry, as it seems they were still struggling and didn't have enough money to pay the rent based on their statements. The husband earns $150,000, and the wife earns $60,000, but their bank account doesn't have any money. Finally, I told them I could start garnishing 25% of their monthly wages, or they could pay me immediately. They promised to pay me in chunks of $1,500 every month. I still don't have all of it yet, but them sitting there and giving me all the information was the best revenge I could get. If they had just agreed to pay me $1,800 in the beginning or $3,000 that I demanded, they wouldn't have been on the hook for $11,000. Did he do the right thing, or was that a little too harsh? Personally, I think they got what they deserved. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Story 2. Ex-boss kept assuming I was still employed, so I promised to show up for my shift. Here's what happened. About 5 years ago, I used to work as a traffic control person at roadworks and construction sites. I did this as I changed from retail to my current career, which was a stressful time. As a side note, normally shifts in this industry are all short notice. They will call you at 7 p.m. asking you to work a shift starting at 5 a.m. the next morning. Say no too many times, and you'll find yourself without any shifts. Something you should know about me before I continue. I'll admit I'm a massive troll, but only to those who are assholes to me in the first place. It's like being an asshole towards me pops my troll horns out. Let's just say my friends fear me come April Fool's Day once every year. I left that job due to life circumstances and the fact I was moving to a new city over 2 days' drive away. My ex-boss seemed to forget this fact. As I stated above, if you say no enough times to shifts, they will just not give you any more. They technically won't fire you, and since you're a casual worker with no guarantee of shifts, they can just leave you in a constant state of limbo until you quit yourself. In my country, they can get away with this, at least 5 years ago. About 1 year after I left the company and moved to my new city, my stupid ex-boss must have forgot I left. Even if you said no to enough shifts, if they were desperate to fill a shift, they'd call you. I got called up and asked to fill a shift the next morning. I kindly reminded my ex-boss that I left about a year ago and was in a new city. He apologized and wished me well. So far, nothing too bad in my book, until another 2 years had passed, 3 years since I left. At this time, my ex-boss repeated this mistake another 3 times. It was getting a little old for my tastes. I even blocked his number. But he got a new phone and still had my number on his contact list. So when he called me this time, I decided to be petty about it. It was about 6:15 p.m., and I was enjoying a movie on the couch with my girlfriend. Me. Hello, this is Loopy Legend. Ex-boss. Hi, Loopy. I need you to come in for a shift at random place in Old Town tomorrow starting at 7 a.m. Think you can handle that? My troll horns came out, as this was the 4th time he'd called me. After each time, I told my stupid ex-boss I'd moved to a new city. Me. Sure, I can handle that for you. I'll be there bright and early. Ex-boss. Good man. I'd be in a tight spot if I couldn't get this shift filled. I went to bed late that night and made sure to put my phone on silent. I woke up around 10 a.m. to about 20 text messages and 12 missed calls with an angry ex-boss demanding to know where I was and mad as hell he had to personally get out of bed early and cover the shift himself since I had not shown up for it. I'm happy to report I've not gotten another call from him since about working another shift for a job I left years ago. I think he finally got the hint. Story 3. Teenage Babysitter's Revenge. I was young, maybe 15 years old or so, and would pick up the odd babysitting gig for extra money. I took a night for a household that was on my paper route. They asked me to be there on a Saturday at 8:30, and I arrived a few minutes early. The parents were still getting ready, and they asked me to watch the kids while they prepared to head out. They left the house at about 9:15. Before they headed out, the wife gave me some very specific instructions. I could have a snack, 2 Oreos on the counter, nothing else. She said she poured a glass of milk for me and left it in the fridge. It was right there next to the plastic milk jug with a piece of tape on it showing the level. She told me she'd check it when she got back, and if I took any extra milk, I'd have to answer for it. The kids were okay, went to bed without any fuss, and the parents returned home at 12:20. Mommy paid me for 3 hours, about 10 minutes after they arrived. Excuse me, but this isn't right. I got here before 8:30, and now it's almost 12:30. That's 4 hours, not 3. We didn't leave until 9:15, and we got home at 12:15. I'm only paying you for 3 hours. But I was watching the kids from 8:30. That doesn't matter. We were home, and you weren't in charge. We were. I took the money and rode my bike home. A couple of weeks later, they did pretty much the same thing. 2 things are important. First, the wife was a neat freak. I'm guessing now she had OCD. Everything was lined up perfectly. One of the kids spilled his drink, and I was looking for some paper towels. The cleaning supplies under the sink were perfectly lined up. Same with the pantry. Every jar and can was in a row with the label facing directly to the front. Second, this was in the mid-1970s, and all canned food had paper labels. So the third time they called me in to babysit, they were late leaving again, and I knew that I was going to get shortchanged for the time I was there. I was steaming. So I went into the pantry and tore the labels off each and every can, all of them. She had a shelf for Campbell's soups, another for canned veggies, another for canned fruits, and I scrambled the unlabeled cans. When they got home, sure enough, wifey tried to short me. You know what? Keep your money. I don't want it, and I'm never babysitting for you again. And as of today, I'm stopping delivering your newspapers as well. So if you want to read the paper, you're going to have to go buy it at the corner store. I stormed out. I wish I could have seen the expression on her face when she opened the pantry door and saw shelf after shelf of bare metal cans. What do you think? Were they right? I think the parents got what they had coming to them. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to Top Tales for more engaging Reddit stories.